women, always having to do everything and be everybody's.
Everything.
I don't do a lot. No, I mean, I try to do as little as possible.
Because on today's episode of the Ride Along Conversations, we have Benicia Hernandez Gill, who is the owner of Life Journeys in Norfolk, Virginia. I really want y'all to come and take a ride with me. It's just like two moms, two girlfriends chatting it up about how we can improve the life of our teens and our children while improving our own. Come, take a ride.
I'm Benicia Hernandez Gill. I am a licensed professional counselor and a businesswoman. I am the owner of Life's Journey and Projects Life's Journey.
Hey, Benicia.
Hey, Tasha.
How are you?
I am good.
Come on in.
Thanks for having me.
Benicia, how's it going, girl?
Good.
Okay, so let me just tell y'all this, all right? Called her. I was like, hey, I wonder if you could do me a solid, do me a favor, and I really, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, right?
Yes.
And so I was just like, can you please just share with the audience? And I saw her on Instagram. I had to check her out, right? I checked her out and I was like, ooh, I really love her energy. I really love her energy. And then when I called you, we just was like old girlfriends
I know.
from college.
We just clicked.
That was trouble from the beginning, okay? Like if the two of us together, it's gonna be trouble.
And it's gonna be a good time.
It's gonna be a good time. So I'm so elated, so happy that you did answer this call and say yes to sharing with our audience, all about, first of all, Life's Journey, which is by way the name of, what is Life's Journey?
Life's Journey is my baby.
Right. I'm so super excited that this is your baby. So we're gonna talk about today, y'all. We're gonna talk about, because I just jumped right in. She's like, oh, okay, we're going there. We didn't have no type of icebreaker or anything. But it just so happened that I said Life's Journey because in all actuality, that's what life is, a journey.
Absolutely.
And it's of peaks and valleys and
yes.
Great times, challenging times, but it's how we handle each and every last one of those challenges.
Yeah, and so that is kind of exactly where it came from. It took me a long time to get my own life together from being a teen
So
mom.
what do you call a long time?
Well, it took me 8 years to get an undergrad degree.
Okay.
So
Got it.
It took me 2 years to get my master's. I was in school for 12 years.
No problem.
And but along those 12 years, I was a mom. My main role, I was a waitress for 10 years, and I was figuring out my life. And so that is can be challenging when you make a hard first start. And so really Life's Journey was kind of born out of the fact that at some point I grew to have such an appreciation for life.
Right.
And I think...
And you see how you just said you grew to finding an appreciation for life.
Absolutely.
And so therefore, like you said, it's a process. So you said it was a long process?
Well, no, it's still going.
That's right. It's ongoing.
Ongoing.
So tell me this. Give us, so that the audience can kind of get a little sense of who you are, one word that could kind of describe a portion of you. Because one word I'm pretty sure is just not going to do it justice.
Yeah. But, okay. I would say determined.
I would say you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Determined. What about a fun fact? Something that crazy and deranged maybe, or just fun? What do you do for fun? Look, why are people calling? Why? And that's the other part we're going to talk about today too, is how as moms, the work-life balance is it's like a guilt a guilty. It's almost like a guilty pleasure. It's like it's almost like a sin. Like we just have a hard time adjusting to the work-life balance.
Yeah. So for fun, I have a lot of fun. My life is fun in general.
Absolutely. Well, look, your hair is fun.
Yes,
your hair is fun. That should be a key indicator. But what do you do for fun?
So for fun, I spend a lot of time with my children, and we travel. I just took my daughter, my 19-year-old, to Vegas.
Wow.
We had the most amazing time.
Wow.
I spend time with my work family, which is my family.
Yeah.
And my boyfriend. He's tons of fun.
Absolutely. Better be. So let's talk a little bit about what we just said, the guilt of the work-life balance.
That's always going to be a struggle. Matter of fact, when we go back in, I'm going to show you my office. I was interviewed probably, I don't know how many years ago, when I was still an undergrad, and that was the same topic. It's actually a newspaper clipping on my wall. I'm going to show it to you. Okay. But there's always going to be, first of all, society has too many expectations on women, specifically black women. And the expectation, when we said, hey, we want to now enter the workforce, we were never renegotiated with any of the rest of our responsibilities. Yeah. Parenting is still our primary role, along with working 40 plus hours a week. For those mothers that are full-time mothers, Lord knows, I opt to go to work.
Right. We need a break.
Listen, I'd rather be at work yesterday, I was so dead tired from traveling the day before, and I said, okay, I could take the day off, and the day off would consist of me cleaning this humongous house that I have no desire to clean, or I can go to work, and I think I'd just rather go to work.
Of course.
And so, it's ongoing, there's no magic to this. I think it's just that we have to come to the point where we are secure enough in ourselves, and we don't really worry about societal expectations of what we are supposed to be doing.
Because we don't have to be that superwoman. I think we almost even pride ourselves, like black women pride ourselves on, oh my God, I did this yesterday, and I helped him get his career going. I did this for my kids, and then on top of it, then after that I came home and cooked dinner, and then I laid it down for him when we got in the bedroom, and you're steady going, and then we're so depleted.
And I think for so many years I did do that, and I did that to get to where I'm at. And it's funny how you do things off of survival, and we do things because we don't have no choice. And then I more recently, while I am still, super driven, I know how to say help. I need help, and I think that's where we go wrong as women. Always having to do everything and be everybody's.
Everything.
I don't do a lot now. I try to do as little as possible.
Because if we're not together, if we're not kind of like mentally together, emotionally together, we're not gonna be together for your kids.
That is the biggest thing that us as women, and I struggle with that. Because
then our temper is flick, our patience is short, and they had nothing to do with
my kids, my employees. Oh Lord, I always have to apologize to my employees.
see, that's a good thing. Because sometimes as women, ladies, we do this all the time. It's just that we don't know how to establish boundaries, right? But then everybody else got to pay for us not setting those boundaries, meaning going off on people. But then it's the point of not circling back around and say, you know what?
Taking accountability.
You know what? I messed up.
I'm really good at that now. I've learned to do that, to take accountability. But you know what else I've learned?
What's that?
That I'm human. And
first.
I don't have no desire to be perfect. Like, I'm flawed and actually love being flawed. as a mom, as a business leader, as a entrepreneur. Like, I'm learning and growing, and I'm cool with that every single day.
So I'm told that this is where all the magic happens. So Benicia, what actually does that mean?
This is where all the magic happens.
Okay.
So I have this amazing team of individuals that have been molded, trained, came with lots of education and experience. Some that came straight from college, no education and experience, but have the most open mind and are willing to learn. And I think the biggest thing, willing to grind. Like, we work hard around here. We play hard as
That's what
well.
I was getting ready to say. Because without the play hard, that balance is impossible, especially in the profession that you're in.
And I think that I try to always keep that in mind, that we have to have work-life balance. Like, we close our offices at 2 on Fridays.
Oh, wow.
So that, you know, you can be drinking margaritas by 3 at least.
See? And then look at them. They look so like well put together, like they don't have any fun. Look at them. Look at them.
Wait a minute. That's
they
also
trying not to smile, laugh.
That's also a requirement.
Okay.
If you come here, if you weren't best dressed, you will automatically step your game up here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So that's
a fashion show. Oh, absolutely.
Well, we should have had a fashion show first.
Yes, absolutely. And it's always Braxton in the lead.
Braxton, raise your hand.
Hi, and it's Braxton.
This is awesome. So I see this is where most of the magic happens. And so now we're going to journey on down the hall to where some more magic takes place.
Sounds good.
All right. So teens of today are not the teens that from my era or even 10 years ago. What's up with that?
I don't know. Where'd they come from?
I don't know. I don't know. Did they come from the internet? Like, did they just magically show up? Like, these beings?
I do think that the internet and social media has so much to do with their self-development, their self-esteem, their ability to isolate, run from problems.
Ooh, can you like dig in right there?
Well, I mean, people can live in this magical world of social media, which is a really, really mean and vicious and fake world.
Yeah.
And so people portray the good stuff. Why do we always portray the good stuff and not, you know, the struggles? I try to portray both, just so that people.
And that filter, because everything is filtered. You know what I mean?
I can't do filters either, because I'm like, okay, if someone sees me in real life,
they walk right past you.
They're gonna think that I'm not as hot as I'm portraying to be.
I love it. I love it so.
But it is a struggle. It's a lot of pressure. They have so much more pressure, because you think about us. We had the pressures of the people that were on our school buses or that were in our classes. That could be, you know, 50 or more people. Like they have thousands of friends that they are competing with, that they're comparing their lives to. People are only posting the good stuff.
Right.
And look at this last couple of years that they've had a struggle with. Like, that has not been fair to our teens.
Right. So, like, I can say for a prime example, my daughter, she was, before the pandemic happened, she was in middle school. And then once everything opened back up, she was transitioning to high school. There was not that transition. And just like it was hard for us to go back to work, we didn't think about our children and how that transition to going back into their workforce was going to be a struggle.
The adolescents, I always say they were the population that was lost in this whole pandemic.
Wow.
They were the ones that were watching the little kids because the parents had to work. They were the ones that didn't get the attention, including myself. Aaliyah was then a junior. At that point, she was 2 weeks away from her junior prom. I bought this beautiful $400 green gown. She didn't get to go. She didn't get a senior prom. They didn't get any of that. But what they did get was anxiety.
Yes.
Depression.
Yeah.
Isolation. They got a very short end of the stick. And that's so sad to me. And then they were tossed right back into boom, now go back into it.
Now, right.
Pull yourself back together.
Right. And not giving them the proper tools. And even dealing with loss. Like over the pandemic, the kids had to deal with loss. Like it was everybody that was dealing with loss. Like it was, no stone was left unturned as it relates to deal with loss. And so not being able to properly bury people. And then as a parent, you're dealing with grief of passing of loved ones and things like that. And then you're passing that feeling and that anxiety down to your children.
And I think it was even a bigger losses as well, not to minimize the loss of loved ones, but the loss of time. We lost 2 years. So
yeah, because they can't get that back. Because everybody lives for their senior pictures or the junior prom. Everyone lives for the different dances or going on the senior trip.
They lost their friends. They lost a lot. And I talked about this before, we have to be gentle with them. Just like how you need some time to get back into the swing of things.
Right.
They need that same time and reassurance, and
they need that
support.
grace you spoke about. The grace that you spoke about. So I think we touched on a little bit about the internet just totally raising our kids and how can we effectively communicate with them, because I think as a parent myself, we find it a struggle to knowing how to communicate with our teens because they're so isolated. Because they isolate themselves, number one. Number two, we don't understand. Number three, we're not doing all the TikTok stuff that they may want us to do.
Well, that's the way you can do.
Right.
Like, listen, get on them TikToks with them. And I guess that's where you have to figure out what is going to be your connecting factor to your teen. And that is based on what their likes and wants are versus based on what your likes and wants are. And sacrifice your time and your effort. And I'm not going to act like it's easy. It's not easy at all. But I think that consistent effort and taking all the judgment out of our perspective.
What do you mean by that? Go a little bit deeper.
Parents are, have standards for themselves and judgment. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've struggled with that too.
How does that come across?
To the child? They shut down.
Like, what do we say that's, like, what is an example of us being judgmental with our kids?
Like, whatever, I know that what I want is not always what they want. And me encouraging and dragging along, saying, okay, let's do it this way, this way, this way. What I thought was the right way didn't necessarily turn out to be the right way. And so sometimes I just gotta be quiet and just listen. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Like, we gotta be quiet and allow them time to just be them. Like with my 19-year-old, she tells me all these stories about all these guy friends that she likes and everything like that. Now, if it was me passing judgment, I would be like, oh, you need to focus on your studies. But I don't. I just go right along with her delusions and her happiness. Because, hey, and I, every once in a while, I always, make sure that I, warning signs. I was like, okay, well, I don't know about him because of this and that. But for the most part, I can't pick apart everybody else. She's not going to come to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That key part. They're not going to come to you. You pick apart and be judgy.
Yeah. So just shut up.
We need parents, did you hear that? She said, shut up. You know how we tell the kids, be quiet.
Just be quiet.
And just really actively listen. And that's the thing, because we're so busy. When they're talking to us, what we're doing, we're on our computer typing, trying to get that email out, or we're trying to get dinner cooked, or we're trying to answer another child, and we're not actively listening to our children. So tell me this, Benicia, Why is therapy so important? A lot of us in the African American culture kind of shy away from therapy because we think that God is just going to send them to church, put them in the prayer line.
Why is that?
Right. Why is that?
Because that's what we've been taught.
That is.
We've been taught to
right.
survive and to focus and to be tough and not to have emotions and feelings because we had to make it through slavery, through all of those, through civil rights.
Yeah.
And why are we not allowed to have that? Because that's been what's been instilled in us until now, until we talk about it, until we say it's okay to go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
We've Black men are taught to be not wear their emotions, and then in turn,
from a little boy, suck it up, stop crying. So we're teaching them not to have emotions. And then when they get married or get into a relationship, we're like, well, he doesn't show me any affection. He's not emotional. Well, hell, we taught them not to be, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think having open conversations, acknowledging our own struggles, like that helps. Letting them know that it's okay to struggle, because it is. It's okay to struggle. You ain't gonna grow if you don't struggle.
And it's not a bad thing for you to go to therapy. It's not a bad thing.
It's actually an amazing thing.
Right.
Therapy is so good for you. Medication, if you need it, is life-changing. I think that's another thing that we really have to focus on as a culture. Why is it that we have to be the only ones that not seek medication?
Right.
No. I want to have a life that I feel good.
Right.
And, if that's a combination of a whole bunch of things, exercising, having a great support system, not taking on all the work myself, going to therapy, taking some meds, then sign me up.
Right.
Because I don't want a life of struggle, and I don't want that for my children either.
Exactly. So thank you again, Benicia, for sharing with us. And because we know that this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, we want to make sure that our people, or anybody, therapy is no color line. It's no color line for therapy or seeking therapy. It's for your good. So Thank you again for sharing with us. And you need to check her out. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
This is great.
Yeah.